Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 124. Andrew
Woo!
Eisen here. Woo! Andrew Eisen here, along with E. Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Um, I'm. We just got past a bunch of, we being me, just got
Yeah.
past a bunch of stuff. Like most of the insane stuff that was going on at work is we're on the downhill side of that now. We're past the I don't know why I keep saying we because I am only me. Um, Extra Life is behind me now, although I'm still working on. I'm about halfway done formatting all the Extra Life videos. I want to do a recap video before I start uploading the actual videos. I finally got Brian's Patreon reward video done. That premieres tomorrow morning. I'm doing
Nice.
you. If you're not aware, have you heard of YouTube premieres?
I have not. No.
Essentially, what it is you schedule. You upload a video and then you schedule a time for it to automatically release, and it ostensibly it's supposed to notify all your subscribers that, hey, Andrew or whatever person you're subscribed to, their new video is scheduled to premiere at this time. Watch it with them, and you can hang out in the chat together and watch the new video together. So I thought I'd do that for Brian's Patreon reward video, and unfortunately, Brian is in the UK, which means I'm premiering it at 6 a.m. my time tomorrow morning, and I really don't want to. And I pushed that as late as I could because I didn't want to get up at 4:30 in the morning. But the
Nice.
guy supports me on Patreon, so he deserves it. So I hope you all join me at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow morning for the premiere of my new video, which is called "In Which I Declare My Undying Love" for Brian Gillis. It's
All right.
it's romantic to a fault. I'm sure you will all go, "Aww," and
Nice.
hopefully you will all laugh. So Matthew's like, nah, I'll be in bed. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just stay in bed and hang out with you guys. It's only 3 minutes long, so 3 minutes and 11 seconds or whatever it is. But hey, everyone. So yeah. One of our topics tonight, ESA's comment on loot boxes. I really wanted to make a video about that. It's one of those so timely things that I'm like, I don't have the time to write it.
Yeah.
I think it happened on like Tuesday or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jim Sterling's gonna cover it. Everyone's gonna cover it. I'll come to the point. It's like, hey, here's what I think, and be like, Andrew, yeah, everyone already said what you have to say. So.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so I saw with my little eye. Spied with my little. I'm so terrible at these. I watched Castlevania season 2,
Nice. How was that?
and it was about 3 episodes too long, and it's only 8 episodes. I enjoyed it, but I felt it was really poorly paced because almost nothing happens. I mean, my tweets covered it rather well. Oh, thank you, Chaos. Not sure what my tweets were covering, but yeah, I like the characters. I love the interaction between the characters, especially Alucard and Trevor.
Yeah.
And because one of my favorites that had me laughing out loud is Cypher chides them for being childish and storms off. And he's like, eat crap and die. It's like, yeah, F you. I'm like, I love these two. They're hilarious.
Yeah. They are.
So the whole spoilers, I guess, it's hard to spoil because almost nothing happens in all 8 episodes. So our 3 heroes say, we need to go kill Dracula. How do we do that? And Trevor says, well, I'm from the line of Dracula, the Belmont line, Dracula killer. So let's go to my house because there's a big basement with a bunch of Dracula killing knowledge in the basement. So we'll go there and research. And they go there and research, and they are there for like 3 solid episodes just researching. They do absolutely nothing. They're just there for like 3 episodes. Meanwhile, back in Dracula's castle, he has summoned all the vampires to him. There are other vampires hanging about. Who knew? And he says, I want you to kill all the humans. Okay, bye. I'm going to go mope. And then the vampires just kind of yell at each other and kind of sneak around, and Dracula mopes, and no one does anything for like half the series. So, oh, the ESA Chaos says, thank you, Chaos. That said, I still enjoyed it because I like the characters, I like the style, I like the world it exists in. I just think that season 2 really should have been about 3 less episodes.
I don't know. I liked the pacing. I think, you know, it didn't need to be just nonstop action or anything like that. I liked how it was paced, and the fact that there were just 8 30-minute episodes made it where it wasn't as bad as if it were like 8-hour episodes or 13-hour episodes like like the Marvel Netflix series. It to me it went by quickly enough that I enjoyed it. It was basically 3 movies, from season 1 all the way to the end of season 2, because season 1 was just 4 episodes. And so you had 3 4-episode movies, so 3 2-hour movies, and it worked out pretty well, I thought.
It kind of reminds me of Terminator 3. There's a lot of good stuff in it, but really it ends right where
Terminator 3.
Well, the thing about Terminator 3 is there's some fun stuff in it, but it ends right when it gets good. You're like, ooh, what happens next? Unfortunately, it was Terminator 4 or Salvation or whatever it's called. And this one, most of the season is just setting the characters, setting them up for
whatever comes
what I think is going to be a more interesting 3rd season, because really not a lot happens here. Our heroes go research, and then they find a mirror that will show them where Dracula's castle is, and a spell that will bring it to them. And that's the hero's journey pretty much.
Well, they also
the fight with Dracula is pretty awesome.
Magic and other stuff too, but
most it's not Simon. Trevor gets the Morning Star, which is, they make a big deal out of it, and I'm a fan of the game, so I'm like, yee! But anyone who's not a fan of the game is like, what's the significance of this weapon? It never really comes into play. Season 2 is interestingly.
It explodes everything, all the bad guys it touches.
Well, it works well. We'll give it that. But the season seems to be more, I'd say the protagonist of the season, the one who has a arc and a goal and moves from point A to point B, is Carmilla. She's the doer of the show.
Oh yeah.
Our heroes are mostly in the basement researching. Dracula's just pouting in his room almost the entire time. He doesn't want to do anything. He has no enthusiasm for anything. And it just, I'm like, oh, buck up, man. Go kill some humans. Do something. That said, I still enjoyed the show. I just thought the plot could have used a bit more forward momentum.
So what did you think of the zombie pug?
Well, it was better than the vampire Pomeranian in Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what are their names? I had to look them up because they're from a game. Both the Forge Masters, because they're from a game I did not play.
They're from a different Castlevania. This one pulls in a lot of stuff from multiple Castlevania games, and so those guys were not in. Is this based on Castlevania 2? I forget.
3. Well, 3? They're from like Rondo of Blood or something.
Yeah,
one of the ones I haven't, because I had to look them up on a
Castlevania
wiki. because I'd
Yeah,
heard the names before, but I'm like, I don't remember who they are.
yeah. I
And then I
haven't played too
remembered
many of the
Carmilla as a
Castlevania
boss, and I
games.
looked her up, and yeah, she's just a wildly different looking boss in a bunch of different games.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a lot of different characters, and
But the
I
zombie
liked
thug
him.
was pretty cute.
Yeah, he was. The, that the guy that made all the zombies and stuff. Yeah, they he was a lot of fun. Just watching his his backstory. When he was a kid and he discovered that he could bring things back to life, and he brought back the family dog and all of that. Yeah, it was pretty good, and so a lot of good characters in there. Yeah, definitely, and I could understand why you know not so much is actually going on for half the season, but
Mhm.
yeah, all the character interactions just really make up for it.
That's what sells it
It's
for me. I
yeah,
just love watching these characters hang out and bicker with each other.
yeah,
The good guys and the bad guys. There's just great characters.
yeah. And you didn't get to spend a whole lot of time other than the two Forge guys, Camilla, and
The
the
red-haired
Viking.
Viking guy.
Yeah, I forget his name, but those are the main ones that you hang out with. It's the other ones are just more back dressing,
Yeah, I
or
don't think
scene
any of them have
dressing.
any lines. They just kind of stand there. Although
Yeah,
the final episode or the second to last episode, whichever one where our heroes storm the castle and just
just
whoop
slaughter them
ass.
all. Yeah,
That was great.
that was an excellent action piece. That was worth, to me, that was worth all the slow buildup to that point. Um, and so I really enjoyed that. And
Hmm.
then you also had the Viking guy. He got his comeuppance by getting killed by one of the
Yeah,
other bad guys. I forget
the
which one
weapon
killed him.
forge dude,
Yeah,
master
and
forge, whatever they're called.
yeah, and so the heroes didn't get to kill him, but he died anyways, and it was a good death,
Yeah. Yeah,
and then
everyone's in a really interesting position for season three. So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
while I personally, I think the first season was better, at least from a pacing and storytelling standpoint. I'm
it was just
definitely,
way too short, man.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted more.
yeah. I'm just really looking
Yeah.
for. But that said, I am quite looking forward to
Yeah.
season three.
And so if you haven't watched any of the Netflix Castlevania series, just watch all 12 episodes.
Yeah.
It should have been one season, but we got
You
two
know, it
seasons out of
probably
it. But
would have been. I think the first four was like, all right, Audie, here's a little bit of money. Make four
yeah.
episodes. We'll see what it does. And then it did gangbusters. Like, make us some more. And then they looked at him before it even aired. They're like, make season three.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, as soon as Jessica Jones season three and Punisher season two come out,
They're canceled.
they're gonna
Yeah.
cancel it. Everything's getting
Yeah,
canceled.
I'm worried that Punisher is going to get canceled before season 2 comes out. Jessica Jones is definitely going to get her season 3 out,
Yeah.
but I'm worried that Punisher is just going to go ahead and get canceled because from what I
Well,
understand,
they're
it hasn't
filming
even
it, so I'm
is
sure
it
it'll be,
filming?
yeah. So that
Okay,
will be
I didn't know
completed.
it entered filming. So yeah, if it's filming, then it's not going to get canceled. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
they're
I
not
was
even
very
being
sad to
subtle
see.
about it. They're like, yeah, we're axing all of them. Disney says we're taking our toys and going home.
Yeah, I was very sad to see the news that
I'm a, I,
Daredevil was canceled.
yeah,
But
I'm
I was
actually
expecting it, but I was still sad.
yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that well, it's my fault because I haven't watched Iron Fist 2 or Daredevil 3 yet. So sorry everyone.
I haven't watched it
I
yet either.
ruined TV Marvel for you. Um uh lost my place. I'm actually kind of surprised that Disney are not saying that. I mean, they are doing the boilerplate. Daredevil's run on Netflix may be over, but the character will live on. It's like, why don't you just say Daredevil's adventures will continue on Disney Plus or whatever the new streaming service is going to call it? It's
Probably
okay.
because they haven't
Well,
they haven't
not all
greenlit
the right.
a
They haven't.
series yet.
Yeah, they haven't signed.
Yeah.
They haven't
The
negotiated the
yeah.
contracts with all the actors and blah 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 blah.
The only thing that I worry about with if Disney actually does produce new seasons of these shows, they're going to tone them down to Marvel Cinematic Universe levels, a PG-13 level of
Hmm.
content, and which as long as the writing is good, I'll be fine with it. But we have become accustomed to a certain type of a certain style of writing and
Yeah.
choreography and violence and all that stuff, or that might cause a loss of audience if they're PG-13. So, but who will buy Disney Channel again, though? You cut cable for a reason. Yeah, I'm not. I don't plan on getting Disney service. I'm not getting the. I'm not getting DC's service. I'm not getting Disney's. I'm not buying
Yeah.
CBS All Access or Discovery or whatever they call it. It's like I've got Netflix. I'll probably resubscribe to Hulu once Runaways comes. Is the new
I
season of
had
Runaways is.
Filmstruck up until 2 days
Yeah.
ago, Warner. That
Yeah.
was actually something else that was taking up a lot of time as I was trying to watch as much Filmstruck stuff as I could before the service ended. And
Yeah.
I saw a lot of stuff. I finally saw Citizen Kane, which I talked about last week. Um, so and which gave me some time to check out some anime. And I
Mhm.
not a whole heck of a lot, but I did watch that one time I was reincarnated as a slime or something like that. It's called something like that. I'm sure Matthew will correct me here in a second. Um,
Yeah.
I only watched the first episode, but it's about a guy who is 37-year-old career dude. He's happy. He's wandering along. He's meeting his work friend and his work friend's girlfriend for lunch, and then suddenly some guy is running through the crowd chart with a knife going ah, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? But anyway, the guy takes a knife to the kidney and dies and gets reincarnated as a slime and meets a dragon that has been imprisoned in some magical thing because he kept stepping on houses and stuff. And um, yeah, I mean, So
Yeah.
what was hilarious is the way the dragon is like, I won't eat you if you talk to me. Please talk to me. It's so lonely. I'm so bored. I've been in here for 300 years and there's no one to talk to. And it's like, and the slime says, okay, well, we can be friends. And the dragon says, well, who said I want to be friends? It's like, okay, I'll just leave it. No, don't go. And it's like, I'm like, oh my God, Tsundere dragon. This is great. And it's totally that the dragon is no, you can stay and we can chat, but it's not because I like you or anything. That whole thing. That got a big laugh out of me.
Yeah.
So I'll try and catch a few more episodes of that as I go. I
Okay.
also saw Matthew, generic name, good show. Yeah, the most OP slime ever. Yeah, for some reason this dude got reincarnated as a slime with all the skills. Um, like if you were playing D&D,
Hmm.
you roll for attributes and you get so many attribute points that you can put into skills like, okay, I've got X number of points, I'll take a lock picking skill and put some in sneak and I'll get this, and these
Yeah.
are my starting skill set to go on the adventure with. This slime has the entire table of skills, has all of them.
Nice.
um, and it's going to be interesting to see how the show handles that, because if the slime is overpowered, then there's no challenge, right?
Yeah.
Some of the problems that a lot of writers have with real powerful characters, Superman, Hercules, things like that. But if the joke is that this slime is just ridiculously overpowered, then it could work. We'll see. We'll see. Um, It's on Crunchyroll if anyone wants to watch it. Another thing I saw the first episode of was my neighbor is a vampire, and I live with her for some reason. It's
Then
similar,
they're not
something like that.
neighbors.
Well, I moved in with my neighbor who happens to be a vampire, is what the name of the show is. Something
Yeah.
like that. Um,
Wow.
and it's exactly what the title says. There's a girl who finds another girl who's a vampire, but she's a nice vampire who just orders blood packs from Amazon, and that's what she does. And she thinks she's adorable, so she says, "I'm going to move in with you," and that's the entire show, apparently. There's
Interesting.
it's cute, but it's kind of dull. It Nothing really happens.
Hmm.
It's just, hey, I'm going to move in with you, and we're going to talk to each other. I don't know. Um, Neither character is actually a character. They're just like an archetype. I'm like, there's two people. You had 22 minutes, and mostly just two characters, and you couldn't get really any personality out of either of them. But
Apparently not.
yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's just rote. I mean, it's like someone. I mean, it's like someone threw darts. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, two girls, great. Vampire, live together, great. That's the show. I don't know. Then I saw one more called Goblin Slayer, I think it's called. Now there's a show title I can actually remember because it's easy, and that's what it's the title character, Goblin Slayer,
Yeah.
and it's about, if you could guess, a dude who slays goblins because goblins are really mean little things. Um, so it's another D&D world, and I've always been kind of amused by, and several anime shows have done this, that they
Yeah.
exist in a literal RPG, Dungeons and Dragons type world with experience and levels and things like that. It's just an interesting conceit to me. Um, this show is I don't know, kind of depend. It has the exact same problem so far that I moved in with my neighbor who is a vampire, whatever that show's called, because the two characters, Goblin Slayer and Priestess Girl, are
Hmm.
they're not characters. They are Goblin Slayer, slays goblins, and Priestess Girl, girl who is priest. That's their entire character so far, and I'm like, I hope.
Yeah.
And she just like, I'm going to follow you around because there wouldn't be a show if I didn't.
Sounds like
All
a
right.
great show. I don't know
I mean,
I don't
it's
know what's
not
wrong with you.
bad. It's certainly a you have to have a taste for the dark.
Yeah.
It's not a light and fluffy show. Goblins are very mean to people, and
Hmm.
the show isn't completely shy about showing all the terrible things that goblins will do if they get their little hands on you.
Yeah.
Um, Matthew says, haven't seen it. From what I heard about the first episode, it put me off the show. I could see that. Like I said, the goblins are very mean. And yeah. And again, the show is not particularly shot. I mean, they don't show everything in terribly explicit detail, but it's more than implied, say. Um,
Hmm.
Matthew says, I like dark, but it seems like that scene was unneeded. I agree. I think you can establish goblins are just mean little monsters, and you shouldn't feel bad about exterminating all of them without a care in the world. Although it is kind of weird that you probably live in a multiracial, uh, multi-species Dungeons and Dragons universe with lizard men and elves and dwarves and stuff, but the goblins are just ravenous monsters. I don't know. Don't know
Hmm.
how the show will handle it. But yeah, the goblins, if you're not picking up on the on what I'm implying. Goblins are very rapey. They will stabbeth you, and they will rip your clothes off, and they will rapeth you too. And they do it because the show does it because look how bad the goblins are. It's like, yeah, I get it. Um, and it can be kind of upsetting because it's you have a party of rookie adventurers who are
Yeah.
wide-eyed and golly, we're gonna go out and make the world a better place, and they just get raped and murdered and butchered, and it's like, well, that's not fun at all. That's actually rather stomach churning and upsetting. So I wouldn't say that's a tonal problem because that seems to be the show's tone.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's out of step with whatever the show ends up doing later in the season, but really my biggest problem with the show was Goblin Slayer and Priestess Girl are that is their character so far, and it's just not that interesting. So,
Mhm.
hmm. There's another show I want to watch called. There's one with zombies, and then there's one with sumo wrestlers, and it looks like it's your typical sports show. And
Yeah.
those are so easy to do. And I haven't seen one with sumo yet, so I'm like, all right, that's probably going to be good because most sports shows are. It's such an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So, uh, what's playing video games, watching any TV, do anything this week before we move
Um,
to topics?
no, I
I've been hogging the mic.
that's all right. Let's see. This week I have I've played some more Ocarina of Time. Managed to get all the way up to Adult Link and had to stop. I was about to go and to Lon Lon Ranch and and get myself an Epona, but didn't have time to go. And
one
Epona,
one of the opponents.
yeah. But I didn't have time because the podcast was starting. But yeah, other than that, not a whole lot. I haven't done a whole lot. I'm starting a new job on Monday, so
Ooh.
there's that.
Is it a
Yeah,
work from home or do you have to go there?
yeah, I get to work from home now, which is
Sweet.
nice. Get a pretty good pay raise,
Nice.
and then I'm working from home, and so my wife is bringing me cocoa. Ah,
Is there marshmallows? Are there marshmallows in it?
no marshmallows, but uh, but it's okay. Um, yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think if I've watched anything interesting this week. But no, I haven't watched very much TV at all this week. So yeah, but yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing Ocarina of Time and looking forward to working from home and
And looking forward to Neon Genesis Evangelion hitting Netflix.
I don't know. I've never actually seen any of that, and so don't know if I'm excited about it at all or not. But no, Netflix is getting
The
tons of
opening theme
animes.
song is genuinely very awesome.
Hmm.
That's really
Yeah,
all I have to say about that show's Cruel Angel Thesis. The opening theme is really kick ass.
they're redubbing
They're
it,
redubbing it. Why? Was it a weird licensing thing where they could license the show but they couldn't license the dub?
or are they redubbing it for better voice acting?
I don't know. I've didn't listen to the English dub, so I don't know what it
Yeah,
sounds like. But
I don't know.
okay. They're also doing a live action Cowboy Bebop. I'm sure that will be very very good.
Oh, it's the late '90s dub. Okay, so yeah, it could be a
I
poor
imagine
translation and voice acting,
Yeah, I
possibly.
imagine the English dub is crap, but I don't know. I never listened to it. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't care for Evangelion. I
Yeah,
appreciate it for what it is. There's a lot some of the I just don't like it. I don't really care for the art. I don't like the Eva designs. I
yeah,
don't like any of the characters. They're all insufferable in their own way to me.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
the opening theme song is really good.
Okay.
And if
Yeah.
live action Cowboy Bebop keeps the opening and ending and most of the music from that show, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I gotta find out what my brother thinks of live action Cowboy Bebop, because that was one of his favorite animes.
But you know what I liked better than Cowboy Bebop? Outlaw Star.
Uh,
That
I
was
don't think I've
I
ever watched that one either. So
love the with Aisha Clan. She was awesome.
yeah,
It's one of the most influential anime.
ODF.
I don't know
I
what that
guess
means.
of the last 20 years. I think.
Oh, okay. Of the last 20 years, forget. Yes, that is true. It is one of the most influential anime of the last 20 years. I think it's probably worth if you're a fan of anime and the history of that particular medium, if you want to call it that, it's one of the things you need to see, at least
Yeah.
check some of it out at some point so you know what people are talking about. It's kind of like Citizen Kane or Ferris Bueller's Day Off or Star Wars. You need to watch it at some point because it's such a touchstone of those of the cultures they exist in.
Yeah.
There's your like Space Dandy. I have not seen that, but
I haven't seen that.
Chaos
See,
says Bebop is a good anime made great by a stellar soundtrack. I will definitely say that the soundtrack kicks that show up a notch, but
yeah.
I can't stand Faye, and I really can't stand how everyone is able to stand Faye.
Yeah.
Spike and what's the other guy? Jet, I think. The two main leads just put up with her, and I don't know why. I don't care for Ed. Someone on Twitter was like, "What do you think about Ein, the dog?" I'm like, yeah, Ein's fine, you know.
It's a dog.
I'm
Yeah.
fine with Ein, but
Yeah.
I did like several individual episodes. The ones Faye was not in. Some great action, especially for a show that was on a budget. They still managed to make some really good action.
Yeah.
Um, Chaos says Faye isn't meant to be a very likable character, and that's true. The problem I have with Faye is that everyone else puts up with her, and that annoys me. I would be
Yeah.
fine. I think I'd be fine with Faye if everyone else was actively trying to push her away, but they don't. They just are like, "Oh, Faye, you've betrayed us 17 times in 5 episodes, but hey, let's work together." Oh, she betrayed us again.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, let's talk topics.
All right.
All right. Bethesda. It's amazing how much Bethesda, and this is a trait not exclusive to Bethesda, of
No,
course,
not at all.
but it's amazing how much a AAA developer publisher, of which Bethesda would be an example, can simultaneously suck, but also make really great games. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's like they're terrible businesses, but they do manage to make a lot of great games. Although, from what I hear, Fallout 76 doesn't seem to be pleasing the Fallout fans too much. I'm sure some people
No,
are having fun
a
with it,
lot
but
of people
most of
are.
what I'm reading is very unhappy with the game.
Yeah. Apparently, it's very buggy, and they're even so bad that it destroys itself at some point. There was some bug in it that actually caused the game to destroy itself, literally, and you had
There's
to
also
reinstall it in
there's
order
also
to fix it.
there's also a bug where I think your character is permanently invincible.
Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't. I didn't get the chance to look into it too much.
Yeah.
Um,
Chaos says their games are only good 6 to 8 months later after they patched everything. I'd say they're only good after the PC community has had a year to fix their crap game. That was a beta
yeah,
bug? Okay.
yeah,
But we're not here to talk about the shortcomings of the new Fallout. We're here to talk about one of the special super Uber editions, which cost $200 and came with a bunch of crap like a little map and a helmet and a duffel bag.
Hmm.
Now, this too, oh, and it came with the game too, so that's nice.
Yeah, you got a game with it.
Yeah, so this $200 premium silver ultra phenomenal edition, whatever it was called, came with what was advertised as a canvas duffel bag. Well, when people started getting their orders, they found out that it wasn't a canvas duffel bag; it was a cheap nylon duffel bag,
Yep, a nice
and
big
it's
piece of garbage.
yeah, a really poor quality, like something that was, those really cheap backpacking raincoats that's
Hmm.
just a piece of plastic folded up into a small pouch.
Yeah.
It's like that level of quality. And so people were rightly pitching a fit because not only is the bag in the promotional art clearly a canvas bag, but all of the promotional written material calls it a canvas bag.
Yeah, it's right there in the picture. It says figure one, canvas. Uh, I gotta zoom in on this canvas West Tech duffel bag, and that's the first item they list for this special edition.
So now this is unconfirmed, but someone on Reddit or somewhere said they got this response from Bethesda support. We are sorry that you aren't happy with the bag. The bag shown in the media was a prototype and was too expensive to make. We aren't planning on doing anything about it. Bethesda Gear Store support.
At least
Bethesda,
they were being honest.
yeah, it was too expensive. We're not doing anything about it. Now, to be fair, Bethesda says that was a contract employee at the gear store, and that was not what they're supposed to say. So sorry.
Mm.
So sorry. But they officially said we understand and respect that there is disappointment with the bag in the Power Armor Edition. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
We are sorry. Please contact Bethesda support to provide proof of your special edition purchase. They will assist in granting your account 500 atoms. Now, atoms, from what I understand, are the game's
It's the
funny
premium
money. It's
current.
the premium currency used in game to buy skins and other downloadable crap.
Yeah.
So essentially, uh, Bethesda is giving you a gift certificate to its store so you can spend more money.
and and it's not even that much currency. Like somebody, I think it was on Kotaku, but somebody decided to buy the in-game version of this canvas bag because there's a skin or outfit or whatever you can buy, and it comes with a duffel bag that you can carry with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that outfit costs 700 atoms. So you don't even get enough atoms to be able to buy an in-game version of this duffel bag. From what I understand, 500 atoms is about $5. It's like, sorry, you spent $200 on a piece of crap. Have $5 that you can only spend in our game.
The correct thing to do would be to either promise that we're going to, as soon as the materials are available, we will make all the canvas bags and send them to the people who paid for them. Or we are refunding everyone $15. Because I did a very quick look on Amazon. An average canvas bag is about $30. An average nylon bag is about $15.
Yeah.
And although the nylon bags I was looking at on Amazon look a lot nicer than the
Yeah,
Fallout 76
I
nylon
have
bag.
a nylon bag in here. I'm just trying to think if I have any. Because, like if you go to, if you go to a county fair or something, you'll come across a booth where they're giving away those drawstring nylon bags, and
Mhm.
and those things don't last very long. And unfortunately, I don't have one with me. I thought I had one near my desk, but I don't. But those things don't last at all. And this is a lot cheaper looking than one of those. And it's frustrating. But one of the things that really bugs me too is that in their original statement, this is a statement they sent to Polygon. The one you read was the Fallout official Fallout Twitter.
Yeah.
But this is what Bethesda said. So they're investigating the response from the Bethesda gear support team, and then they say the support response was incorrect and not in accordance with our conduct policy. Unfortunately, due to the unavailability of materials, we had to switch to nylon carrying case. And and the response from throughout the internet was, "Man, that darn canvas shortage that has been hurting everybody." Yeah.
Yeah. But again, even if that is true, and there's some canvas shortage that no one's aware of, they could not procure the materials. Okay, stuff happens. But again,
Yeah.
you refund everyone the difference because they just gave you money for a thing, and you're keeping all of it and giving them absolutely no compensation.
Yeah.
Because it's incumbent on Bethesda to take a hit for
Yeah.
its mistake, and it's deciding not to take it. Oh, we'll give you 500 fake dollars, which is not really enough to buy much, but we just don't care because we already have your money.
Yeah, and and here in the comments saying that this is false advertising, and I would actually say this is a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Because bait and switch, false advertising would be saying saying your product can do something it can't actually do. Um, a lot of these homeopathic remedies and powders and stuff you could buy, would that would fall under false advertising. But this is a bait and switch. This is saying we've got this, but then when you show up to actually buy this, they say, "Oh, we're all out. We've got this," and and that happens a lot in Black
Here's an
Friday
incentive to spend
sales.
more money on us
Yeah,
as compensation.
yeah, but like a lot of places, like on Black Friday sales, they'll advertise, "We've got a 52-inch TV for $150," and you show up, it's like, "We've only got 10 of these, but we have this other 52-inch TV that's $500." Yeah, so it's just like, yeah, that's a bait and switch, and that's what happened here. Is they're saying, "Oh, you can get this canvas bag. Oh, we're all out. Sorry, you have to get a nylon crappy one for the same price." Yeah, and this isn't something that is unique to Bethesda. This has happened before. I remember a while back for one of the Marvel versus Capcom games. It was one of the collector's editions came with a collection of Infinity Stones, um, and when people got them, or the advertisement, had some really nice glass-looking stones. They were what you would find in like a Mancala set, like the game Mancala, a very fancy one, but much larger. But when people got these things, they were really, really cheap plastic things, like egg-shaped things, and they were just absolutely terrible quality, and that upset a lot of people. But unfortunately, and that's just the other big instance of this that I can think of that comes to my mind. And but this kind of stuff happens all the time. And when I worked at EB Games, I would occasionally grab some of the old pre-order bonuses that they had, and some of them were actually pretty nice. One of them was for a Lord of the Rings game. I forget which one it was, but it came with a nice. It was a small, but it was a framed picture of the Balrog, which was really cool. And I keep meaning to pull that out and hang that up, even though it is just small, but it's still pretty nice. And then there was a little pewter figurine of the Pinky Demon from Doom, when and that, yeah, the Infinity Eggs. Yeah. But those things were actually kind of nice, but they were pre-order bonuses. They were meant to just be given to you once you picked up your pre-order, and they weren't like these collector's editions we get nowadays, where you spend $200 and then get a piece of garbage when you pick it up. And yeah, so my thoughts are just like, never pre-order, never buy collector's editions. It's not worth the headache. But
Yeah. So, all right. Summing up, bad Bethesda. Uh, stop sucking at making your open world games. The
yeah,
the the more linear stuff like Doom and Wolfenstein seem to be a lot less buggy and more stable.
yeah,
But the big stuff like Elder Scrolls and Fallout are just enormous buggy messes. And I know they're really difficult, uh, complicated games, but get good, Bethesda. you know. So, all right, let us move on to loot boxes. And the big story this week is the FTC apparently is going to look into loot boxes in video games. But what caught my eye was a statement from the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association, which is the organization that speaks for the uh, what's the right way to phrase it? They're looking out for the best interests of game publishers.
yeah.
So the ESA says, and I love this incredibly stupid statement because almost everything in it is
Is
a. Oh, that Chaos brings up a good point. Doom and Wolfenstein are made by id Software. It's just published by Bethesda. Yeah, there you go.
yeah,
So anyway, ESA uh, had a 4 sentence statement, and nearly everything in it is a complete and utter bald-faced lie. I also found something very amusing. Uh, Count how many times the phrase "enhance the experience" shows up in this statement. Ready? Here we
mhm.
go. The ESA said. Loot boxes are one way that players can enhance the experience that video games offer. Contrary to assertions, loot boxes are not gambling. They have no real world value. Players always receive something that enhances their experience, and they are entirely optional to purchase. They can enhance the experience for those who choose to use them, but have no impact on those who do not.
So I say that three
Three
times in
times in
four
4 sentences.
sentences.
Kind of amazing. All right.
Yeah,
So I think let's just go sentence by sentence. Loot boxes are one way that players can enhance the experience that video games offer. I don't have much of a problem with that particular statement. Enhance the experience doesn't really mean anything.
yeah,
But yes, loot boxes are a thing in video games that players can engage with. Contrary to assertions, loot boxes are not gambling. Yes, they are.
yeah. That's the fact that the FTC is investigating them, and the fact that many governments regulate or are looking to regulate them as gambling would make you think maybe this is a little too close to gambling
Yeah.
for comfort if it's not outright gambling.
Gambling is a broader term that if you look it up in the dictionary, you're going to have a couple different definitions for it. I mean, for example, driving while drunk is a gamble, but no one would really call it gambling, right? But that's one way to use the word.
Yeah.
But loot boxes are, you spend real world money, you wager real world money on an uncertain outcome. That's gambling. It doesn't matter that with every loot box scheme in video games I'm aware of anyway, you
Yeah.
always get something. For example, Texas Hold'em, probably one of the most popular gambling games in Vegas. It's on TV. There's poker tournaments all the time, right?
Yeah.
I think we all agree that Texas Hold'em is a gambling game. You put up money, you wager on your hands, and you can either get money or you can get nothing. It's gambling. Okay. What if we slightly altered the game so that even if you lost a hand, you at least got a sticker sheet? Is it no longer gambling now? That's what the ESA is saying, that if you take Texas Hold'em and everyone gets stickers if they don't get money, then it's no longer gambling, you see, because you always get something. No,
Yeah.
loot boxes are gambling. You are wagering real world money on an uncertain outcome. That's literally gambling.
Yeah.
So now that we've established that, let's move on. Loot boxes have no real world value. That's a complete and utter lie because you spend real money on them. So obviously they
Yeah.
do have value. Also, there are a bunch of Counter-Strike Go had this huge problem where the loot box stuff was being resold. It has actual real world value because people are willing to pay money for it.
Yeah, in anything where you can transfer, even if you can't, even if the game doesn't offer a way of selling stuff within, like Diablo 3's real money auction house. Even if the game doesn't offer that, as long as the game offers the ability to transfer loot box content from one player to another, it has real world value because you can say, hey, I've got the plus sword or +5 sword of infinity. If you want it, send me $100 to my PayPal and we'll meet up in game and I'll give it to you.
Or you could transfer an account. There are a lot of different things you could say. Also, it's important to point out that not all loot boxes work exactly the same in all games.
Yeah, of course not.
But so you can't generalize and say, well, all loot boxes do this, but the ESA is doing the exact same thing, saying that all loot boxes are like this, and they're not.
Yeah, but I will say that in regards to this no real world value, I will say it's like there are no games that I'm aware of that allow you to exchange what you have to the game in order to receive real money back to yourself.
Correct.
So like a slot machine, you would put your quarter in or your dollar or $5 or whatever it is these days. Spin the thing and you can either get something back from the game or nothing back from the game. Loot boxes don't function in that way. But you can
you can't cash in your atoms or whatever for actual cash.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that, when they say no real world value, that's probably what they're referring to, rather than I can sell my stuff to other players and make money.
Well, I mean, it depends on what you mean by real world value. To me, real world value means something that has value in the real world. If it's something someone is willing to pay for, then it has real world value.
Yeah.
Now, if you specifically mean that the items obtained from loot boxes can't be sold, then say that. But even if you do say that, you are wrong in some cases, depending on which game's loot boxes we're talking about.
Yeah. Now the next sentence is the
next part of that
sentence. The next part of this particular sentence is probably the absolute biggest bald-faced lie in this entire thing. They say players always receive something that enhances their experience.
That is absolutely not true.
Bald-faced lie. You can ask any player if they have ever opened a loot box and or if every single loot box they have opened has given them something that they wanted, and every single person will say no, very few of them give me something I want. You know,
That's why I keep buying them to try and get something I want.
yeah, and so the last game that I played where I actually did this was Fire Emblem Heroes, the mobile game,
Hmm.
and there weren't loot boxes so much. It was just a random character you get.
It's
You spend
essentially
the
a loot
money,
box.
you get a random character, and there are times where I would unlock my 5 characters that I could for that particular thing and got 0 characters that I wanted. There were a couple of times where I got a 5-star character, but it wasn't of a character class that I actually needed a 5-star character for, and so it's like it didn't help me any,
Right.
and so yeah, all the time. I think that, you know um, as somebody who played Magic the Gathering growing up, the Magic the Gathering booster packs were always you were always guaranteed to get 1 rare card and then at least 3 uncommon cards, and then the rest were commons. Um, but the even though the rare card or the uncommon cards might not be worth anything on a resale market, all the cards, if put in the proper deck, could be used successfully. You know, you could probably open 5 or 6 booster packs and only get 3 cards that you really wanted because they fit your specific play style, but the other cards could at least be collected to complete your collection or traded to other players for cards that you can actually use. But yeah, but loot boxes, not at all the same way. As far as I'm concerned, if you're looking for a new helmet and the only helmets you get are worse than the helmet you currently own, that's not enhancing your experience.
Yeah. I'll give now one might say that, well, whether something enhances your experience or not is completely subjective, but I'll give 2 examples of something that could come out of a loot box that does not enhance your experience. And using your example of Fire Emblem Heroes, you could pay money to get orbs to use to summon a hero, and you could end up with a crappy 2-star version of a hero you already have the 5-star version of. That
And
does
that
not
happened to
enhance your
me like
experience
20
at
times.
all.
Yeah, well, I didn't pay for the orbs, but
Right. But you could.
I constantly got 2-star, 3-star versions of
Mhm.
characters that I already had a 5-star version of. And of course, you could use those characters and combine them to level up your 5-star character, but the whole leveling up process was a complete piece of garbage and or combining process, and I never figured out how to make it worth my while to try to do that. And I even think that costs some kind of premium currency as well, and which was a huge pain in the butt. But
Well, that's true.
yeah,
If you have a 5-star and you get a 2-star, you could combine them and get a couple of SP points to spend on something. But
yeah,
okay, so you get a 2-star version of a character that you don't care about. 2-star is completely useless.
yeah.
Utterly useless in that game. Unless you want to buy a bunch of crap to level them up to 20 and then increase their rank and then level them up to or 20 or 30 or 40, whatever it is. I think it's 20, but whatever. The other example is you could spend money to open a loot box and get a duplicate of something you already have. That
Yeah.
does not enhance your experience. You already have that, whether it's a cosmetic item or whatever. It's like, oh, I already got this uh, color to paint my soldier's armor in Destiny or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
they always receive something. No, they don't. Not that
No.
enhance it. Uh, and they are entirely optional to purchase. Eh,
In
no,
the
they're
general
not.
sense, that is, well, it's true in the fact that you don't have to buy them, but that's like saying, well, you don't have to play this game, and it's just. the fact that the game has them in there means that the game has been designed in a way to make you want to have to pay in order to get these loot boxes. Um, you know, another game that comes to mind is Magikarp Jump. Okay, this
Mhm.
last year I declared it my game of the year 2017, but the fact is there were certain parts of the game that were like certain achievements you could only get if you actually spent real money in the game to be able to afford to buy the the items in order to reach these achievements. And it was just like, in order to farm that many diamonds, I would have to play the game for probably 30 hours. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't need to farm. I don't need to grind for 30 hours when so you're saying I can either grind for 30 hours or pay $15 to get the diamonds I need to unlock this achievement. I'm just like, no, that's not optional. That they're telling you have to do this if you want to 100% the game. You have to spend real money.
Yeah. Let
And
me whoops, there it is. Let me combine that with their final sentence to help support my point. They say they are entirely optional to purchase. They can loot boxes are entirely optional to purchase. They can enhance the experience for those who choose to use them, but have no impact on those who do not. That is a bald-faced lie.
that is another
Because
ball. Yeah,
because if that were the case, then EA and Warner Brothers would not have had to completely rebalance Star Wars Battlefront and Shadow of War Middle Earth Shadow of War, whatever it's called, when they took
yeah.
the loot boxes out. They took loot boxes out, and then they had to rebalance the entire game.
Yeah, because the
So,
games were designed
right.
to
If the
make you
loot
buy these
Right.
things.
If the loot boxes had no impact on those who didn't use them, then they wouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, and then you've got things like Activision. They it was recently reported that they were applying for a patent on a system that basically um, it paired non-playing players up against people who pay to for one it makes the people who pay feel like, oh, we're so powerful we can beat other people, but it made the non-paying players feel crappy because they they couldn't beat these other players, so that it's a basically guilt you into trying to into buying their premium currency and loot boxes and stuff. It's like the fact that that patent exists proves this wrong.
Yeah. Going back to the they're optional kind of thing, it's like, yeah, the choice to succumb to the game's advertisements and buy them is certainly a choice. But let me put it this way: I bought Just Dance 2019 to play on the Extra Life charity marathon this year. This game doesn't have loot boxes, but it has. Well, actually, it kind of does in a way, but it uses in-game currency that I don't think you can buy with real money, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
But it does have microtransactions, and like loot boxes, I do not have the option to get away from the game constantly nagging me about the
Mm-hmm.
microtransactions or loot boxes. As
Yeah.
I play a game I paid $40 for, it is constantly saying, hey, you could buy more songs, you could give us even more money and have more to play. And that's the same with games with loot boxes. One
Yeah.
of the Call of Duties, I think, was like airdropping loot boxes right in front of you onto the battlefield or something. Um, you do not have the option to get away from the carrot on the stick kind of a thing. They're constantly, oh, over here, come on, you want to follow this, it's right over here. They're constantly badgering about it. You
Yeah.
have no option to turn that off.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of games, the DLC store, the loot box thing, is like right front and center in the menu. You're
Yeah.
constantly getting notifications in the corner to you could you could buy stuff to skip this portion of the game because we made this portion of the game needlessly tedious so
But
that you'd pay to not have to play it.
hey, you can either grind for 10 hours or you can just buy this. Can you imagine if Monster Hunter had a constant, oh, you didn't find that item you wanted after you killed that great Jaggy?
Mm.
Well, go down to the kitty cat shop and pay us $5, and you can get that item that you didn't get from the great Jaggy.
Lou says it's less carrot and stick and more being beaten with the carrot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people have the option to say no to the constant beatings.
Yeah.
You know, some people some are like, okay, just stop hitting me. That's actually that's a good one. It's a carrot and stick that they keep hitting you with. They're not leading you with it. They're beating you over the head. I like that. Good visual.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, the ESA, in conclusion, the ESA are bald-faced liars and very crappy. And I only wish that the interests of game publishers aligned with the interests of the people of the gamers, those who they actually make products for. You think it would, right?
Yeah, you think it would. Which is
what's
actually
good for the gamer would be good for the game publisher.
Because the IGDA, the International Game Developers Association, recently published their loot box guidelines. They were just like, they said, hey, if you want to avoid regulation from government regulation of these things, you need to start fixing the problems yourself. And they published some guidelines of this is what we think you guys should do with, if you're going to put loot boxes in your games, you should do this. And
I did not hear this.
Let me see if I can pull this up.
Susan actually has a good addendum to the beaten with the carrot thing, and you're allergic to the carrot.
Yeah. So okay, so this is a
webcomic called Freefall. Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up. Let's see. Okay, so this is three points that the IGDA list. Let me see if the full article and the site's running slow. But this is three things that they list. It says that they want the industry to affirm a commitment to not market loot boxes to children, something that Ubisoft failed to do in Just Dance 2019.
Right. For anyone who's not aware, Just Dance 2019 has two modes: regular mode and kids mode. And kids mode is just as saturated with buy more crap. Go get your mom's purse and pull the credit card out and type in the number.
Yeah. And then the second point is to clearly disclose the odds of different rewards when purchasing loot boxes. And this is something that some companies are doing, especially if they're trying to enter certain markets, because it's a legal requirement that they have to do this, but they don't do it universally. And going back to Magic the Gathering, you always knew for every booster pack you open, you always knew you're going to get one rare card and 3 uncommons, and the rest were going to be commons. You knew that you were always going to get that mix of cards. You didn't know what cards you were going to get. You didn't know what color they were going to be, and whether they were good or anything, but you always knew you were going to get that spread. And then finally, it says launch a coordinated education campaign that boosts awareness of the parental controls that are available to appropriately limit how players engage with games. And this is something else, is that games should come with a parental control that allows you to turn off loot boxes and the loot box in-game marketing. You should be able to turn that off, whether that's a console-wide thing with the parental controls on the console or a setting in-game.
I'll add to that and say that this whole kerfuffle could probably be avoided if the ESRB simply created a loot boxes content descriptor. That would probably be enough. Just put loot boxes
Yeah.
as a content descriptor
I
because
know they
they
added in-game
in-game
purchases.
purchases, but that
Yeah, but
doesn't
they didn't.
really cover it.
Yeah,
But
because
that's
that
what the
covers everything.
yeah,
Whether a
DLC,
season pass,
microtransactions,
DLC,
season, yeah,
microtransaction, all that. But yeah, loot boxes should be its own thing. I don't think it should necessarily impact the overall rating, but it should
yeah,
definitely be listed that this game has loot boxes. But again, you run into the issue of take Battlefront or Star Wars Battlefront,
mhm,
where it launched with loot boxes and they took them away and then they put them back. What if a game launches without them and then later on they add them in a patch? And is the ESRB going to enforce a change of rating on the game boxes like they would with for example, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas when somebody
right.
unlocked the hot coffee mod? You know, are they going to force a ratings change if somebody patches in loot boxes?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it would be important for the ESRB to designate loot boxes because that seems to be something that's important to game purchasers these days. And that's ostensibly the idea behind a rating system is to inform consumers of the content of a product so that they can make an informed purchasing decision.
Yeah.
Uh, go ahead.
Oh, the question is, how do you say that username? I don't
I'm just going to
know.
say Lou.
Lou. Does the ESRB do that for new DLC? I believe what the
In
ESRB's
game purchase.
guideline on DLC is that the content in the DLC can't exceed the rating that the game was originally given. It's very frowned upon and you could potentially be punished if you try to add DLC that would not. So if you had a T-rated game and you tried to add a hot coffee style mod, making it an M-rated game, that would be a big no-no as far as the ESRB is concerned. And I think they have means to fine companies if they do that kind of
Yeah.
crap.
Following up on something Updog is saying in the chat,
What's up,
I
dog?
yeah, I don't think that any type of loot boxes descriptor. Uh, I don't think Walmart or GameStop or anyone would treat games with a loot box descriptor the same way they treat games with an AO rating. So
Yeah,
I can't imagine any of them would do that. So I don't think that's a concern if that's what the ESA is actually worried about.
yeah, yeah. I don't think so. And
Because there already is a gambling descriptor. And I don't know that anyone is asking the ESRB to put the gambling descriptor on the back of the box. I think if the
no,
ESRB delineated between gambling and loot boxes, I think that would be okay with most people.
yeah, and the fact is the gambling descriptor actually would, if a game includes real world, like real money gambling,
Hmm.
that is a guaranteed adults only rating as far as the
Yes,
ESRB is concerned.
I believe so. Yes,
Yeah. It could be completely
because
generic
that's a
E
legal thing.
rating content, but if there's real money gambling, that's an adult only
Right,
thing.
and I think
So
that's really the fear because you have to do that legally because
yeah,
in every state in the United States at least you have to be at
18
least
to
18,
gamble.
not
Yeah,
21 to gamble. So if
yeah,
a game has actual real world gambling in it, then uh it has to have be adults only.
yeah,
But well, not legally, but that's just the way it works. Um, so I think that's the concern is, well, geez, we're not going to be able to sell loot boxes to children if we call them gambling. It's like you're so close, ESA. You're so close to the truth.
yeah, yeah. I think I as a parent, I'm fairly lenient on DLC with my
Mhm.
kids. Like if they earn money and they want to buy a skin pack or a level or a texture pack for Minecraft, I let them buy that because one, it's their money, and two, it's a skin pack. You pay $3 and you get like a dozen character skins, and some of them are themed, like there's Doctor Who, Star Wars, that kind of stuff. Those are fun. But if it were $3 and you get a random selection of 3 skins, yeah, I'd throw that game in the garbage, because my kids don't need to be spending their money on crap like that. So, um, you have to buy those. Some of them, yeah, but yeah. So
skin packs, but
yeah, they're free skin packs. But this is the console side of things. Like, you can get free skins out the wazoo on the PC version, but on the console version you have to buy skin packs, or there's free skin packs as well. But yeah, but if you want the Star Wars or the Simpsons or Doctor Who skin packs, that's $3, and you get like anywhere from a dozen to 20 skins, and they got some pretty cool stuff. Like, playing Minecraft as a Dalek is a lot of fun.
What's funny is gambling, games of chance are fun. I love like hitting up the casinos in the Dragon Quest games, or in the Yakuza and Fist of the North Star games. Sometimes I'll go into the casinos and just play blackjack or the slot machines or something. And yeah, I'll save scum. What of it?
Yeah. Well,
It's like everything on 7. No, reload. Everything on 7. It's gonna come up one of these times.
Yeah.
The funny thing is in Yakuza games, there's usually little charms or items you can get that will make sure that the ball lands on red, or make sure that it's either 0 or 00. And that's a good one, because you essentially have a 50-50 shot of betting the max on 0 and paying out. And I remember I used my my 0 jewel, and I put everything on 0. 00 comes up. Reload. And I did that like 7 times in a row before I finally hit. I'm like, oh my god, the odds of flipping heads 7 times in a row is really, really low. I have very bad luck.
Well, people have a 50-50 odds. You think that it's always going to be heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails. But 50-50 odds just means that it's going to be one or the other. It's not it's not a guaranteed one, the other, one, the other, one, the other. So you could theoretically get heads 50 times in a row and then finally get tails. That is consistent with 50-50 odds. It's just you had very bad luck.
Right, but getting a specific sequence 7 times in a row or 50 times in a row is very low odds, even if you're doing a 50-50. So flipping a coin is 50-50 every time you flip it, even if you flipped it 50 times. Now, getting a certain sequence in that time, that's very low odds. But that's one of those things that Jack Thompson back in the day just really did not understand about probabilities. When the ESRB or whoever, or the ESA was touting their facts about the industry, it's like, the stores turn away kids from buying M-rated games 60% of the time, or 66% of the time. So Jack Thompson's like, I see. So a child has a 1/3 chance at actually being successful. So all they have to do is hit up 3 stores and then they'll get their game.
They get their game.
Dude, do you not understand how this works? Or are you counting on everyone else not understanding how this works?
I think it's the latter, but yeah. And that's one of the things. And, it goes along, lots of misunderstandings, correlation and causation, odds, risk assessment. Humans are very bad in general. I'm not saying everybody is, but in general, humans are very bad at assessing all of those things.
It's our strength and our weakness. We are excellent at pattern recognition, but we're so excellent at it that we'll actually look for patterns where there are none.
Yeah.
We're actually very terrible with chaos. We don't
Yeah.
like chaos. We
Well,
like
it's like a
patterns.
yeah, like pattern recognition. You go back. I remember watching a video of this, about patterns and everything and randomness, and they had this. They told the story of the the London bombings in World War II, where the Germans were bombing um, England and London and surrounding stuff, and people were analyzing the bomb placement, like where all the bombs landed, and they looked and they saw certain areas that didn't get as many bombs as other areas. And they're like, oh, there's got to be spies in that area. And the Germans were protecting their spies. And then they would go on witch hunts in those areas. And it's just like, no, no. These bombs are just totally random. And then the video showed a picture of what people think random is, and it's like evenly spaced dots all around this thing. And it's like, no, that's not random. This is random. And then they show it's like clusters here and there, little bits
Mhm.
out in the edges and stuff. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just yeah, people look for patterns and often miss things. They miss the forest for the trees, and but, yeah.
I was in a forest once, and I was standing around just enjoying nature, and suddenly two deer come hauling ass through the trees. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, they're coming right at me. Well, they seem to be dodging the trees, so maybe if I stand still, they'll go around me. Because the last thing I want to do is, kind of juke and fake out a deer, and then it turns and then rams me in the stomach. And luckily, both of them ran around me. But another time, I was in a
And
mall.
then you saw what they were running from, and you were like,
Yeah.
crap.
And then I got eaten by a bear.
Yeah.
So one time I was in a mall and I saw this small child wandering around and kind of stumbling towards me, just not paying attention to what was going on. And I stood still because the last thing I want to do is actually, his face was about as high as my kneecap, and I didn't want to, knee him in the nose trying to avoid him. So I'm like, I bet this kid doesn't bump into walls or trees. So if I stand still, he'll probably just navigate around me.
You don't know kids.
I don't know, kids, because he walked right into me and fell on his ass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude. And he was like, dude, let's exchange insurance information. So, yeah.
Yeah.
In conclusion, kids are dumb and aren't paying attention to where they are going.
Yeah.
It's like, do you, but I remember telling the story to someone else, and she said because I got to the point where I'm like, well, I was figuring that kids manage to navigate around trees and not bump into walls, and she said, no, they don't. They're walking and stuff all the time. Do you have no kids? I'm like, yes, I have no kids.
Yeah. Deer are greater than kids.
Yes,
Yeah.
Lou's got it right. Deer are better than kids because they can run around trees.
Yeah. Oh
All
man.
right, we had one more topic, but it's getting late. So just to
Yeah.
sum up, Nintendo's end of lifing that stupid Nintendo Creators Program on YouTube.
And
Where,
it's good. Yeah. They
yeah,
they still reserve the right to remove basically anything they want, but they're at
yeah,
least going to be a little more permissive in what gets up there. But they don't ask the main draw of this is you don't have to ask them for permission before uploading now, and you don't have to share any of your money with them
right.
now. So those are the two big
And you
takeaways from
don't
this.
have to only adhere to a certain list of whitelisted games. You don't
Yeah,
have to dedicate your entire channel to Nintendo.
yeah,
Um,
lots
all
of good
those
stuff. But yeah,
absurdly stupid restrictions where most streamers and content producers were like, all right, fine, I guess I'm just not covering Nintendo
yep.
because
And I think
I
that's
can't work like this.
and
And
and that
yeah, you
that's
can.
what it boiled down to was not enough people were covering Nintendo games on YouTube, and Nintendo saw that and figured, crap, we screwed this up. Let's get rid of this and move on. So,
Yep.
yeah. So
Sometimes
that's
Nintendo feels like a 90-year-old person who has never bothered to learn what the internet is
yeah,
and just seems kind of taken aback and surprised by the internet every time. It's like, where
yeah,
have you not been paying attention for the last 2 decades?
yeah.
So,
So Matthew, earlier in the discussion, asked what we think of Steam's new announcement. They're changing their revenue share, um, and currently
oh,
you
I didn't know what was it and was it changing to?
oh
Oh,
they
pardon me.
currently take 30% of all revenue. Every you sell a game for $10, they get $3, you get seven. Um, and they just announced yesterday or the day before that they're changing it now. If you make $10 million, uh, everything after the $10 million, they're only going to take 25%. And if you make $50 million, everything after the $50 million are only going to take 20%. And and I thought, well, great. That's great for all the AAA developers
Yeah,
and
that doesn't
those
do
lucky
crap for
few
indie
indie
gamers.
developers that end up making $10 million or so. But for the vast majority of people, this is there's no change at all. This is
Yeah.
standard operating procedures. The big deal, though, is in that same announcement, they announced that developers are now able to publicly disclose their sales data. Um, uh, Previously, Steam required confidentiality with sales data. Developers weren't allowed to tell people how many games they sold, when they sold them, and how much they made off of that. Now you can actually do that, and that's huge news for especially for indie developers, and that is a massive improvement in Steam
What if
indie
Steam tried something like instead
relations.
of your share increases the more you sell? If I mean, they could still do something like that, but what if they based the share on the game's budget or the size of the company or because
Yeah.
most publishers are not going to sell $10 million worth of games on Steam.
Yeah, that's probably not. Well, I think most publishers are still going to sell their games themselves. I don't see
Mhm.
EA and Blizzard and
That's
Ubisoft switching back to Steam at this point, but it's going to keep some of the other larger developers that still distribute through Steam from leaving. They're going to say, "Oh, well, okay, well, we're going to make more money than we thought we were going to go. Let's just stick with Steam for now." But
Matthew says, or maybe file size. The
mm,
larger the game is, the size of the game factors into what the revenue split is.
yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of other factors that you could do, and unfortunately, I think Steam's 30% cut does more harm to smaller developers
Yeah.
than they get any benefits from what Steam provides. I think the Steam's cut should be less for smaller developers, but
Well, I mean, you
how
think
that works is would be
considering the cut it
completely
takes, you think it could afford to, exercise some quality control, which it can. It
beyond.
just doesn't care. It's not
It'll
interested.
provide better visibility and discoverability, and
Mhm. It's
yeah,
like, well, we have to make money somehow, so we take a cut.
yeah,
It's like, well, I understand that, but you know what you could do, Valve, to make money? Make a game.
yeah,
You've got a pretty valuable IP. A lot of people like it. A lot of people would be, tickled pink if you'd make oh, I don't know, say, just picking out of a hat here, the third version of a game in a popular franchise, maybe complete one of the games that you were doing episodically and never finished. You know,
yeah,
I'm talking about Half-Life.
yeah.
Me personally, I don't care at all, but I know that a lot of people do. That would make you lots of money. That would make you so much money, you could probably just lower the revenue split to 10% for everybody because who cares? You just made all the money.
Yeah.
Half-Life 3, available only on Steam.
Uh,
So, all right. Well, fun show, but I'm going to need to eat dinner and then go to bed because I have to get up early for my very first YouTube premiere video. If you guys weren't around during the front of the show, YouTube Premiere is essentially upload a video and then you schedule a time for it to go public, and that allows the creator to, so everyone can watch the video together as it premieres. And you can hang out in the chat and go, "Oh, this is a neat video," or "Oh, this is a dumb video," and the creator can say, "You're banned for not liking my video." Um,
yeah.
so my very first Patreon reward video is premiering tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a short video. It's only 3 minutes long. But it's a reward for a patron of mine who lives in the UK, and he's 8 hours ahead. So I pushed it as late as I could because I don't really want to get up at 5:30 in the morning, but I will because he supported me on Patreon and he earned it. So the video in which I declare my undying love for Brian Gillis premieres tomorrow at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I hope you will all wake up if you're on the West Coast, or if you're on the East Coast or the other side of the world. Watch it with us. I think it turned out pretty good. It gave me a laugh. So, all right. Andrew Eisen, Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube. You'll find my YouTube videos, including tomorrow's premiere. Plug it into at Andrew Eisen on Twitter, and that's that. Oh, Lou's going to be there. All right, cool. See you tomorrow. Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, where I talk about gaming, politics, and other things that interest and bug me. You can also follow my game development work at DK_gaming. Things are that's on Twitter. Things are a little slow at the moment, but hopefully it'll pick up soon. You can also follow my game development work at DivineKnightGaming.com. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and OKGameDev.com.
All right. Jordan's saying, "You're going to make me wake up at 7 a.m. to watch you for 3 minutes." Andrew, you're pushing it. Yes, I know. It's unfair, and I ask a lot from my audience. So, all right. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us during the podcast this week. We'll be back.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week. Michael Koretsky is organizing the Kunkel Awards, the Video Game Journalism Awards that the SPJ has been doing for the last couple of years. What's her name? Brittany Ferendi. She moved north of me. She's up in San Fran working at Discord now. So she got out while the game was good. Michael couldn't find anyone else, so he's doing it this year. I'll try to get him on the show probably in January maybe, and we'll talk Kunkel's what will be new, what will be different, what's coming back, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's always interesting. But that's it for us this week. Hope to see you all tomorrow morning for the premiere, and next week for episode 125 of the Molehill Mountain podcast. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya.